Welcome to the Why Not Today podcast. And I'm your host, Leslie Kane. And for over 30 years, I've built businesses through relationships, referrals, networking, and consistent action. Now I help service based entrepreneurs find more opportunities to attract more clients and grow their businesses with confidence. If you're ready for practical strategies, encouragement, and accountability to help you move forward, then you are in the right place. And let's jump into today's episode. So last week, if you're following along, I talked about the entrepreneur roller coaster and some changes that I've gone through. And as I'm making big changes for the Why Not Today brand. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. We grow and we try new things. And so some changes I've made is one, with lots of thought and sadness, I have stopped the luncheons. And instead, I am consistently going to hold workshops every month to help you support you in growing your business and with practical tools, steps, action items, because we're all about action, and a workbook that's going to go with it. And I may even have some fun custom chats to give you as part of it. So I started looking back at what am I doing? What have I done? And really noticed something interesting that whether it was Mary Kay, building Why Not Today, launching a podcast, creating network communities, holding events, all the things, helping other businesses, I noticed a pattern. And so it wasn't that I was following a formal system, but I was consistently doing the things over and over again. In Mary Kay, it wasn't like we called it a sales funnel. It was kind of the yellow brick road that you did this, you did this, you did that, you got that. And so through some evaluation, working with my coach, because you can't grow very well without yourself. You need someone to come along with you, just like I talked about the roller coaster, getting that person to push you a little bit. And so I am revamping the Why Not Today Inner Circle. It's going to be Why Not Today Inner Circle, basically 2.0, still the same name. And then adding a momentum component for people that want a little more one-on-one hand holding. And so as I was developing this new program, I was really looking at, okay, we started with the podcast with courage, and all the episodes were including, interviewing people. I kind of said, if you walk past me and said courage, I put you on the podcast when we started. And so courage has been the theme. And Why Not Today? It's taking that daily courageous action. There's a famous quote, I don't remember who it's by, but it says, it basically takes 2 or 5 seconds of courageous action to get started. And so as I was thinking about the word courage, and I love acronyms and sound bites and such. And so I really came up with a methodology, and it's the courage method. And so it really encompasses everything I know about building businesses, especially relationship businesses for service providers. So who's a service provider? Do you provide a service, whether it's a chiropractor or massage therapist, a real estate agent, a card repair company? I have somebody new in my network. She has a red light therapy business, a restaurant. What are the places that, you've got a great service, but you are kind of stuck and you're feeling like, all right, I don't know where to be networking. Am I going to the right places? And I'm making, are people understanding what I'm doing? Am I converting my sale or my leads and all my networking into sales? And that's the bottom line. If we're in business, yes, we want to help people. Yes, we do this because we're passionate. But unless, as we say, you have giraffe money, you have enough money to buy a giraffe, we need to make some money. And even if you have giraffe money, you still need to make money, and you can give it to somebody else. But the problem most service providers face, as I mentioned, it's we don't have a service problem. We know what we're doing. We're talented. We're specialists in our program. We may have a certification, but really what we have an opportunity problem. I meet business owners every week. They're talented. They care about their clients. They work super duper hard, but they're frustrated because they're not having enough conversations with the potential clients and the right clients. As I mentioned, many people are just networking regularly, going to the places, afraid to miss out. My coach said the other day, she said, if you are going to events and things based on FOMO, fear of missing out, you're letting fear be the CEO of your business. And we don't want that. So are you throwing spaghetti on the wall? I know I've talked about that a lot. Posting on social media every day, praying for the new customers, waiting for referrals, but you're still on the roller coaster. You're busy one month, slow the next. And so the courage method that I've kind of developed and going to train on in the circle, and of course I'll share it at the podcast, is a way to help you, support you in solving that problem. So the acronym is C for courage. You got to connect. Are you meeting the right people? Business starts by being in the right rooms. Do you know where your best customers are coming from? Your most customers, your highest paid customers, not the ones that you get and want to nickel and dime you. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is marketing to everybody. As a Mary Kay consultant, I always said, oh, it's anybody but skin, but really it's not anybody, everybody with skin. So ask yourself, who are your ideal clients? Who already serves those people? Where are those people gathering? And for me, networking events, community involvement, volunteering. There's a lot of people now, referrals, and just being visible in the right places. People know, liking, and trusting you, which I talk about often. That are you out there? Are people seeing what they do, what you do? People know what you're doing. And the goal isn't really to meet more people. It's really to meet the right people. So C is connect. O is outreach. You want to create more opportunities. Relationships don't happen by accident. How can you multiply those? And that means first, attending in the event, but reaching out, being the first to schedule the coffee meetings, asking people who they know, and say, I'm looking for this, this, and this, and give people specifics. One thing I've been talking a lot about is, I'm good at, and I know a lot of people in my circle are good at referring other people, but do you have like a little paragraph that you can share with somebody when they say, oh my gosh, I need you to meet this person, that you can send that to them. They don't have to think about, oh, why do I think Susie is amazing? What does Susie do? And they may not explain it right. So one of the reasons, things slow down is you're not reaching out enough. And one of the biggest mistakes we can make is when things are really growing and buzzing in your business, and you're super busy, you throw down all the networking, all the growing, planting seeds, and then the business sometimes dries up and you don't have any seeds growing. So C is connect, O is outreach, and then U is understand. And that is going a two-way street. It's building trust. Like, do people trust you? Do they know, like, and trust you? Do you have good testimonials? Do you have people understand what you're doing? Do they trust, somebody referred you from somebody else? That person obviously knows you. It's a great connection. But also, do you trust them? Do you understand them? And I think when you get to know somebody in their business, then there's going to be more trust. So be curious, ask good questions, listen, learn what people are trying to accomplish, see what their problem is. And, if you can't solve it, that's okay. Can you refer them to somebody else to solve it? So you don't have to do it all. And they're going to be more apt to maybe send somebody your way if you say, you know what, I'm not a fit, but go to this person. I was reading a book, and I know I've mentioned on the podcast, Unreasonable Hospitality. And he has a new book called Unreasonable Hospitality Field Guide. And he was talking about hiring and firing. And if you have somebody that works for you, and it's kind of a pivot thought, but if you have somebody that works for you and it's not working out, but they're great, not working out for your job, your restaurant, your whatever, do you know somebody else that'd be a better fit? So, building that trust, you can talk, understand what's hard for them. Make sure they're understood. Spend time listening and not just waiting for what you're going to say next. And that trust is going to create future opportunities. So again, C is connect, O is outreach, U is understand, and then R is referrals. Generate introductions. Most business owners say they want referrals. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, but few have a process for creating them. Referrals happen when people clearly understand what you do, trust you, and think of you at the right moment. I actually just got an email before I started recording from my friend Madeline, who sends me amazing connections. And she's like, there's a reporter looking to do an article on personal development. I think you'd be a great fit. So you get those connections also when you're actively introducing people to one another. And people, staying front of mind. Are you posting consistently on social media? Do people know what you're doing? Do they hear what you've done for somebody else so they know how to get those referrals? Some of the best opportunities in business have come through introductions. It's referrals. That's how I grew a Mary Kay business, word of mouth. Who do you know? And asking people and who they know and who might be a good fit for you. And I think that is just something that every business asks. It's kind of like McDonald's. I've trained on this so many times is, you go to McDonald's and you drive through the drive-through. If you order a burger, they're going to ask if you want a drink or fries, right? Or not these days, they'll ask you if you want to upscale it or upsize it or all the things. But you expect them to do it. That's their job. And so when you're in business, you're going to ask people, who do you know? That is going to open up so many other people. So let's go back through it. C is connect, O is outreach, U is understand, R is referrals, and then A is ask. You guys, we got to ask for the sale. You need to figure out an environment you can create those sales conversations. This is when courage becomes important. You can network, build relationships, create trust, get the referrals, but eventually have to ask. And I've had lots of conversations with people last couple of weeks about asking for the sale. Do you have a sales presentation that people can watch? I went to an event the other day with my friend Alice, and she's talked about the service and the product that she sells for a couple of years. And until she had a PowerPoint and I could see visually what it did, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I think if you have a sales presentation, a system, obviously you're going to adjust for who the person is, but I think it keeps you on track. It keeps them on track. And I often say when I'm talking to somebody about the inner circle, I'm like, if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen and share how this works. And at the end, I'm going to ask you something you're interested in. And that's something, we all need to do. Like, I'm going to ask. And one of the best tips, suggestions in sales is once you ask, shut up. I hate to say it that way, but stop talking. Let them answer. Especially if they say yes, and then really stop talking and don't keep selling. That should be a whole podcast episode. Simply by inviting the right people to take the next step, you're going to grow your business. And so what people don't often do is give the invitation, ask for the sale. People aren't going to be knocking on your door. You need to ask. So courage is connect, outreach, understand, referrals, ask, and then G is grow. Turn opportunities into clients. More opportunities don't happen after one conversation. Growth happens through consistency. Consistency. I can't say it enough. Following up, nurturing those relationships. Do you have somebody you reached out and asked, did a sales presentation? Say no. Do you reach out again? Do you still send them content? Do you pop a note in the mail if you have their email, or email them, or pop a note if you have their address? Just thinking about you. Stay top on mind. I've had lots of people that, originally said no to me. And then slowly but surely they start watching and they're like, it happened one time in Mary Kay world. Somebody I met, she goes, oh, I don't wear Mary Kay. I'm allergic to Mary Kay. I don't like Mary Kay, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh. 6 months later, she's like, by the way, do you have a this and do you have a that? And she wanted to try some products. And then she started buying products. And then she's telling everybody how amazing I am. Well, obviously she'd had a bad experience, or was, nobody wants to be sold to. And so once she started watching me, and then I didn't push her, then she turned her ship around and great customer. So, nurture those relationships, stay visible, let people know you're still around, and then track number grows. It's not just about collecting the context, but are you tracking? Are you sending them content? Are you dropping a note in the mail? Are you sending them referral? Like, let them know that you're there to help them. I've got a couple people that are interested in the inner circle. It's not exactly right for me yet, but I'm still sending them clients and referrals. I want them to see the value I have, even if they're not a paid client. And then E is excellence. So let's go back again. Is connect, outreach, understand, referrals, ask, grow, and then finally excellence. Earn referrals and repeat business. You guys, there's gold in your customer base. Are you getting them to the next level? Like Mary Kay, if I have somebody using a cleanser, I'm going to try to get them to use a moisturizer. McDonald's, if you buy a burger, they want you to buy fries. Do you have a next tier? You should always have a next thing you can be selling somebody. I listened to a podcast the other day about Scientology, which I didn't really know that much about, but really they're selling products and they keep having layers of tiers and they're big prices. So, being able to provide that excellent service, following up with people, keeping front of mind as their customer. The best business you can have are consumable products that people, like I say, Mary Kay, they wash down the sink and reorder it, but be able to create the sales cycle again and again. have people in a monthly program. A car. I just made an appointment to give my oil change, and they have a deal. If you have so many oil change, you get one free. So what can you do to get people to keep coming back and providing that excellent service? People are going to talk about you and say, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. He's so amazing. You need to do business with them. So they're going to tell their friends are going to tell their friends. They'll come back. They'll leave you with testimonials. They become referral partners. And excellence isn't about perfection. It's about creating experience people want to talk about. And I've talked about this many times on a podcast episode last month and I just mentioned the book too, Unreasonable Hospitality. I recommend that book probably daily to somebody. So the real lesson is, as I look back, as I started my business, 31 and a half years ago, I realized the courage method isn't about networking. It's not about referrals. It's not about sales. It's really about building relationships, because relationships build those opportunities, the trust, the referrals, business growth. So most successful people know they aren't necessarily, you don't have to be successful people, rephrase that, aren't necessarily the smartest, the most talented, but they consistently invest in relationships. And that makes such a difference. I can't say it enough. And so if you're a relationship-based business, which pretty much most are, and you're not having enough sales conversations, chances are you're stuck somewhere in that purge cycle. Maybe you're not connecting with the right people. You're going to these events, but they're not your people. Maybe you're not following up. Maybe you're building those relationships, but not asking for the sale. Maybe you're getting those opportunities, but not following up consistently. And that's why I built this inner circle framework and this methodology to help people. So I would love to explore how this might work for your business. I offer complimentary coaching sessions if you're interested. Let me know where you're stuck, where I can help you. And even if inner circle is not a good fit for you, keep coming back to the podcast. I'm going to continue to teach on this, and let me know how I can support you, how I can help you, how you can grow your business. So I want to help everybody grow their business. That just gives me so much joy. So why not today? So thanks again for listening to another episode of the Why Not Today podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Post it on social media. Share one of my posts. Leave a review, because that really helps more people have access to the podcast if you leave a review. And to learn more about Why Not Today, the community, the coaching, the resources, you can go to my website, which is whynottodaymovement.com. But also check me out on Facebook. I have a Facebook group which we revamped. It's just consistent clients. And so, I am here to support you. And remember, you don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to take the next courageous step. And why not today? Thanks again for joining me, and remember, why not today? Bye.